instructions from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, also got his mercy, the costless mercy. Prabhupada used to say, ISKCON didn't start in 1965 in New York or 1966 in New York by Srila Prabhupada. No, it started 500 years ago from Lord Chaitanya himself, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati actually propagated this because he started the 64 Gaudiya Mats, and all the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the cult, was taken forward by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and you know the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was the powerful acharya in our movement, so in our parampara system. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was there, that time there was a lot of caste Brahmanism, there was Sahajiya system going on, and the whole cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was kind of lost. So what happened? Bhaktivinoda Thakur took his pen as a sword and he started writing book on Vaishnava cult, but he wanted someone to help him. He was constantly praying to Krishna. So we'll see the glorious pastimes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he is Nayana Manchari. Okay, so he was called Nayana Manchari. He descended, all the Mancharis, they actually descended as the Goswamis, remember? So the Nayana Manchari is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he was born on 6th Feb of 1874 in Jagannath Puri. So his parents were Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhagavati Devi. So you remember, when we went to Mayapur Yatra, we went to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's home. Okay, so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is Nayana Manjari. We have descended or appeared, and then as the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhagavati Devi. They had actually 10 children, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur was constantly praying because he was not able to do it alone. He knew that he wanted a ray of Vishnu, a ray of Vishnu. He was praying to the Lord. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was born, there was an umbilical cord around his neck and also around his chest, like a Brahmanic thread, which the threading ceremony of the Brahmanas, they have a thread. So like that, his umbilical cord. So was like that. So it's an indication that this child is going to be a Brahmana in future. Brahma Janati the Brahmana. Okay. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur was constantly praying for a ray of Vishnu. And since he was a magistrate, he was in Jagannath Puri, and he was having a lot of power, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And since then his naming ceremony was not done at that time. But later on, there was a pastime of Jagannath Radha Yatra which happened. After that, he was named as Bimla Prasad. So remember, I told the story of Jagannath Mahaprasad, how it became Mahaprasad. That first it is offered to Jagannath, it becomes Prasad. Then it is offered to Bimla Devi or Mother Parvati. Then it becomes Mahaprasad. So Bimla Prasad means Bimla is Parvati, Mother Parvati, and the Prasad is her mercy. So he was called as Bimla Prasad by his parents. Okay, and then when he was like 6 months old, there was a Jagannath Radha Yatra happening. So since he was a magistrate, but his father was a magistrate, the procession used to go in front of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. So the whole Jagannath Radha Yatra happened, and when it reached Bhaktivinoda Thakur's home, the Radha stopped. Literally stopped for 3 days. The cart didn't move. They got so many elephants to pull and so many people to come, but nothing happened. So because Jagannath is like that, God moves according to his sweet will. We can't do anything, right? He can become lighter than a feather or stronger than a mountain based on his will. So Jagannath was waiting for something. Then 3 days, nothing happened. And Bhagavati Devi, his mother, took the 6 months old Bhaktisiddhanta Bimla Prasad to Jagannath to give darshan. And when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati saw Jagannath, this child was so happy that he extended his arms to touch Jagannath's lotus feet. And that time a garland fell from Lord Jagannath to Bimla Prasad. And everyone was like, Hari Hari, Hari Bol. And everyone was so happy. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur then understood, this son is the one who's sent as a ray of Vishnu to help me to propagate the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that was an incident, and everyone was so happy. Immediately the Radha started moving, and then Jagannath left because Jagannath saw Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and was very happy and pleased and started moving. And later on, once Bhaktivinoda Thakur was offering mango it was a mango season and it was so ripe mango. He was about to, he cut it, he was cleaned and cut, and he was about to offer to the Lord. But the child, Bimla Prasad, didn't know that it has to be taken after offering. So he went, grabbed the mango and ate it. So his father didn't chastise him, but he told, what did you do? You did an offense. You did, you took it before offering to the Lord. So you kind of offended the Lord. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was so young at that time. He took a vow in life that he'll never touch mangoes because he thought he had offended the Lord with the mangoes. And our Srila Prabhupada used to say that even after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati became like 60, 65 years old, when his disciples used to offer mango to Lord and then give it as prasad, he never touched it. He says, I'm an offender to the mango. See how determined he was. If it was us, we take so many resolutions for New Year and all, and next day it's all gone in air. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was such a powerful, determined person that it's just a small thing. He offended, but then he never touched mango in his entire life. And he was a great scholar. At the age of 7, he memorized all the 700 slokas of Bhagavad Gita. Just imagine, we can't even memorize 108 important slokas, but he memorized 700 important verses in Bhagavad Gita at the age of 7. He was a great scholar. And any teacher goes and teach him anything, he just grasps it like that. And Vinoda Thakur knew that he was sent by Krishna. So he started training him in so many scholarly ways, Sanskrit and so many language. He got so many degrees, and he was a very pious child from childhood. And there was a debate between Brahmanas and Vaishnavas at those times. Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to send his son Bimla Prasad, and then he used to go and argue, and he used to win so many of the scholarly things, where like astrology, astronomy, so many things. He was like fully memorized, and then he became a great scholar. So our Srila Prabhupada used to say that there were only 2 scholars. I mean, if you take the Gaudiya Parampara, there's 2 scholars mainly, Jiva Goswami and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur could learn everything, because he was preparing himself to fight against Mayavadism and Shunyavadism and Sahajiyas. Okay, so finally he meets his guru, Gaurakishori Das Babaji. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Shiksha disciple is Gaurakishori Das Babaji. He didn't directly initiate him, but Gaurakishori Das Babaji, as you know, was very renounced, and he was illiterate. He couldn't even sign his signature. He couldn't even put his signature. So Gaurakishori Das Babaji thought, I'm so low to give initiation to anyone. That's what a great Vaishnava thinks, that he never thinks he's proud. He thinks very low. So Gaurakishori Das Babaji never initiated anyone. He was 24 hours chanting, and he was always in that mood of separation from Radha Krishna. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, go to Gaurakishori Das Babaji and take initiation. I won't give you initiation. Nobody else is your guru. He is your guru. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati went behind Gaurakishori Das Babaji. Please initiate me. But he never initiated. He told one thing. Oh, okay, let me ask Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then tomorrow I'll tell you. So he kept on delaying it. Oh, next day he says, I forgot to ask Gauranga. I have to get the permission of Gauranga, then only I can initiate you. And so somehow he's tried to prolong, but then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati never left. He was so determined. And he asked the reason. So Gaurakishori Das Babaji told, you're so scholarly, you're so educated, I can't initiate you, because a guru should teach the disciple something. I don't know anything. He was so humble, even though he chants so many holy names. He's illiterate. Gaurakishori Das Babaji was a living encyclopedia. He used to speak Shastras like anything. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati badly wants to take initiation. And finally, one day, there was a bridge, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati blocked Gaurakishori Das Babaji and said, if you're not going to initiate me, I'm going to do suicide. Or if my scholarly degrees are stopping me from taking initiation from you, I don't want those degrees, because I want initiation from you. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, I took initiation from my Guru Maharaj because he was 24 hours chanting. Okay, so that's what Gaurakishori Das Babaji was. Finally, he took initiation, and in 1916, on the eve of his death, Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed his son to preach the teachings of the 6 Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya far and wide. This is the only instruction Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. Never collect money for your sense gratification. Always use your money and knowledge to preach Krishna's glories. And always say trained him in such a way, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote some books and Vaishnava songs, but he could not actually preach beyond Bengal. He was just in Bengal. He was restricted like that. But Bhaktisiddhanta said he was not. He is also Manjari, but he allowed his son to preach. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati started preaching the Gaudiya philosophy, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. In 1905, Siddhanta Saraswati took a vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra 1 billion times. Those times, you'll see his picture sometimes with beard and all. So you feel like, oh, the Vaishnavas should shave and keep them clean and shaved head and all that. Why he is with beard and all? Because that was the time he was 24 hours chanting and he didn't even shave. Even Chaturmas, he didn't do that. And he was living in a small hut, constantly chanting, because he wanted to get empowered or the mercy of the acharyas to preach. He was collecting it, like our Srila Prabhupada went to Vrindavan to get the mercy, and he used to get up at early morning and sweep Rupa Goswami Samadhi and cry for the mercy. That's how he got the mercy got empowered to preach in America. So similarly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was doing the same thing. Why are they doing? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is Nayanamani Manjari. Manjaris don't have to chant like this. They are already empowered. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is showing us by example that, yes, I got a material body and I came here. Now I need to do devotional service. Even if you are in the prema stage, bhava stage, still you need to do the devotional service. He's showing us by example. He was living such an austere life. He got so empowered by the holy name. He started 64 Gaudiya Mats, 64. And then Lord Chaitanya's teachings were just going far and wide. He made a lot of disciples. He was called as a lion guru. Why a lion guru? Because when he came, there was a lot of caste Brahmanism. Like those who are born in Brahmin family, they become Brahmanas. Others, they're all Shudras. It was like that. And there was Sahajiya Sampradaya. Sahajiyas means they dress up like gopis. They don't read the philosophy, they don't chant the holy name, they don't do devotional service, they just act as if they are in the bhava stage, prema stage. He didn't like it. Once when Sahajiya Sannyasi came home, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to respect everyone, so he was paying obeisances. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was just standing like that. He didn't pay obeisance. And the sannyasi looked at him and it's like, your father is paying obeisance, what is the problem with you? And Bhaktivinoda Thakur told that he doesn't like Sahajiyas. So he was so strong. He was like a lion guru. Means what? When a lion come and roar, all the small animals, they run off, right? So he was like that. When he comes and preach, the Sahajiyas, the caste Brahmanic people and Upper Sampradayas, all of them used to run off because he was so strong in his philosophy. And he published a large number of Vaishnava books. He even wrote commentaries on the Brahma Samhita. And the Brahma Samhita commentaries, which we read, the translations, Prabhupada didn't alter it, because Prabhupada's like, my Param Guru have given the translations, so I can't edit it. He published so many daily magazines and newspapers like the Harmonist, Navya Prakash, and Sajjana Toshni. So someone asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, what, you can publish the newspaper or a magazine every week or every month? Is it possible? And he asked, you are publishing material news every day. And there's like a lot of newspapers in the world now. Those days also there were a lot of newspapers for material mundane topics. Why can't I publish something which is in the spiritual world, which is eternal, ever existing, and won't I get topics to explain transcendental message of Krishna? So he was like very stressing on printing books, because he says printing press is like Brihat Mridanga. What's a mridanga? Mridanga is a small instrument which we play during kirtan. And how long the mridanga can be heard? Even if you put a microphone, a mic system, a loud volume, still it can be heard only few kilometers, might be few meters, not kilometers, only few distance, right? But a brihat mridanga is something which can be heard all over the world. So printing press was called Brihat Mridanga by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He wanted to print books. He wanted to print. He even says the Gaudiya Math's disciples that even if you have to, he used to build big Gaudiya Math temples, big temples, and everyone used to criticize him. Why you are wasting so much money on the temple? So he's like, if you, a mortal human being, can live in such big house, why can't Krishna, the supreme personality, live in a very nice temple? So he used to build nice temples for the devotees to come and hear about the pastimes of the Lord. So that time he said, Brihat Mridanga, the printing press is very important. And he said, even if you have to sell the stones of the building of your Gaudiya Math, still take money and print books. And if any brahmachari goes for distributing his magazines, Sajjana Toshni, Harmonist, or Nadia Prakash, if they distribute, and if they're not successful, even if they distribute one magazine, it was like 10 paisa at that time, still Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to be so happy. And even if his disciples fail in preaching, that they say, go and say that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, we got only two people to come for our program today. He's like, it's okay. Even if nobody comes for your class, still preach loudly, because you're preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult and the four walls can hear you. So that's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was so determined in preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message. So he was against caste Brahmanism and Sahajiya system. So he gave Brahmanic initiation to all the Vaishnavas. Like he gave Brahmanic initiation. He initiated someone, then gave the Brahmanic thread also. Even though they are from the Shudra family, he gave to everyone. So this was a kind of outbreak in the Brahmanic culture. Because they were like, the caste Brahmins were like, how can a Shudra become a Brahmin? Those days the Shudras are not allowed in the temple, only Brahmanas were allowed if you are born in a Brahmana family. But even Bhagavad Gita says, Chaturvanyam Maya Srisham Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Quality and your karma is important, determined you're a Brahmana or not. So when he gave Brahmanic initiation to many of his disciples, the real Brahmanas, in the sense, the so-called the caste Brahmanas were so angry at Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. It was a new revolution happening. And when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to have Harinam and some processions, they used to hide somewhere and throw stones at him. They literally used to throw stones, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to bleed. But still, he was never scared of anything, because the Shastras allow that if you could purify yourself by chanting the holy name, whoever you are, born in any caste, you can become a Brahmana. Brahmajanadi the Brahmana. So he used to give Brahmanic initiation to everyone. So based on their quality. So one day they were going in a procession, and the people were throwing stones. Even the so-called Brahmanas were throwing stones at Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So his disciple Bhakti Pratnya Keshav Maharaj actually saved him. So when they reached a turning point, people could not see. So at that point, Bhakti Pratnya Keshav Maharaj pulled Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to a small corner, and when no one saw, he said, give your dress to me, change your dress, the garments, the brahmachari, the sannyas cloth, give it to me, take my white cloths. And then they exchange the cloths. Bhaktisiddhanta says, like, what are you doing? That's okay, I want to save my spiritual master. So Bhakti Pratnya Keshav Maharaj disguised himself as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, covered his face with this saffron cloth, started walking. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati somehow escaped, and people started throwing stones at Bhakti Pratnya Keshav Maharaj. He was bleeding, but he saved his Guru Maharaj. And Bhakti Pratnya Keshav Maharaj is the sannyas guru of our Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada wanted to take sannyas, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati already had finished his pastimes and went back. So he took in his sannyas from Bhakti Pratnya Keshav Maharaj. He was very, very supportive to our Srila Prabhupada. So once when Gaurakishori Das Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's guru, left the world, he said to everyone that when my soul leaves the body, you should drag my body through the streets of Nadia. Why? To prove others that this body is just a bag of stool and mucus and blood, and it's of no use, to show others that the soul is very important, not your body. So people started dragging Gaurgeshwari Das Babaji's body on the streets, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati could not stand this. He's his Param Guru, and he's so humble that he told to drag, but we should not do that. He's a Vaishnava. Vaishnava's bodies are also spiritual. They are supposed to be in samadhi. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati just went there and stopped everyone and told, if you are celibate, if you really follow brahmachari life, then you can touch my spiritual master. Nobody came. All the sannyasis, they stood away because nobody were following the brahmachari, real brahmachari life, except Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He was a Naishtik brahmachari, and he took the Gaurkeshwari Das Babaji's body and gave a samadhi to his guru. So we went last time Mayapur, we saw the samadhi of Gaurkeshwari Das Babaji. So our Srila Prabhupada, Abhay Charan, meets Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in 1922. In 1922, Prabhupada was not interested to meet any gurus, because he have seen from childhood many so-called gurus come to his home, sannyasis, they come and they might be smoking or they do some kind of bad things, which Prabhupada was not happy meeting all these people. But his cousin, Narendra Nath Mullik, he called Abhay Charan, please come with me. You will see the real guru. I saw him. I want you also to see. So Abhay Charan, Prabhupada, was dragged to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. That was the arrangement of Krishna. And then he met him in 1922. When he met him, the first instruction he got is, you're all young boys. Why can't you educated? Why can't you go abroad and spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And then that time, Prabhupada was a Gandhian and he wanted freedom and all that. But he got impressed so much so that he fixed in his mind, Abhay Charan fixed in his mind, this is my guru. Okay, he made up his mind. And then in 1933, 10 years later, he got first and second initiation together. Our Prabhupada got the name Abhay Charan, A.C. Bhaktivedanta. Like Abhay Charan got Abhay Charana Ravinda. Okay, that was the name given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Later on, he became Swami when he took sannyas. But see, for 10 years, Prabhupada was waiting to get initiated. So sometimes, even after taking shelter, we wanted to get initiated so fast. In 6 months, 1 year, we can't wait. But see, Prabhupada waited for 10 years to get initiated. So it's not something to be hurried. We need to really wait for the mercy. And Prabhupada got first and second initiation together. He got Brahmanic also together, and gave 2 instructions later on in Radha Kund, that first is to take the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world, and if ever you get money, print books. So this was Prabhupada's life and soul after that. And at that time in Radha Kund, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati liked Abhay Charan so much, even though Abhay Charan was a grihastha, staying away from Gaudiya Math, still Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, Prabhupada, you stay away. Don't stay in Gaudiya Math, because you will do more preaching when you stay away. And he proclaimed, or he predicted, that after I leave, there will be a war will break in Gaudiya Math, and the Gaudiya Math is going to split in pieces, and there's no preaching going to happen. And Prabhupada was so worried about this. Why did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati predict like this? Because he knew that he's Manjari, he knew that it's going to be like that. And when he was about to leave, like 2 weeks before he left, he wrote a letter to our Srila Prabhupada emphasizing on going abroad and preach and to print books. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati sent so many disciples abroad, especially to England, so many places, but no one succeeded. No one could make even one disciple there. So nobody succeeded except Abhay Charan. So this is how Prabhupada met him in 1922. So there were so many people there. And when Prabhupada, you can see he was in the Gandhian dress. So Prabhupada asked, how can we preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message abroad? Because we didn't get independence. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, that's not very important. It doesn't matter who rules India, British or anyone else. What is important is this Krishna consciousness is an emergency. You need to do it right now. And the real independence is from this material body, from the cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, not from this external things. And then Srila Prabhupada was so impressed he fixed in his mind in 1922. In 1933, Srila Prabhupada got initiated. First and second initiation was given from Abhay Charan. He became Abhay Charana Ravinda. And he started serving his spiritual master. He always says, how can I serve you? This is in Radhakund, where Prabhupada with his small son went to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave him a lot of instructions and to print books. So that's why Prabhupada, even after getting money, he didn't build temples first. He started printing. Bhagavad Gita, he already took 3 volumes of Bhagavatam when he went abroad, and also he went to the Macmillan Company to print the Bhagavad Gita books, because Prabhupada's like, that's what my Guru Maharaj mission. Prabhupada, whenever the preaching was going on, he always says to his disciple, please help my Guru Maharaj in his mission. You're not helping me, you're helping my Guru Maharaj. And Prabhupada never felt alone, because he always knew his Guru Maharaj is with him. And Prabhupada even sees the dream of Guru Maharaj coming and telling him to take sannyas, because when he initiated Abhay Charan, he knew that Abhay Charan is the Senapati Nayak, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent, and it's Abhay Charan who's going to take this cult abroad. So he knew it. That's why he empowered him, gave all the mercy. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave all the mercy to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, I can never do this alone. It's always my Guru Maharaj's mercy that I'm able to do this. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say, if I could perfectly deliver one soul come back home, back to Godhead, I would think my mission of propagating Krishna consciousness to be successful. So this is what, when we preach, we may not be successful, but then we should try to make at least one soul sincere, or one soul get attracted to Krishna, and then you can think your mission is successful. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's mission was successful, because who was that one soul who became sincere? Srila Prabhupada. Right? So, and also he says, he who serves Lord Hari counts himself as the least of all entities. He's lifted to the highest order of the Vaishnavas when he can feel himself the last of all. He can then proclaim the message of the highest devotion to Lord Hari. It also says, if one is so expert that he can engage everything or devote everything in the service of the Lord, to give up the material world would be a great blunder. One should learn how to devote everything in the service of Krishna. For everything is connected to Krishna. That is the real purpose of life and secret of success. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to preach in his car. He was rich. He was a son of a magistrate. He had a nice car, and in that he used to go and preach. So everyone is like, he's a sannyasi. He's still using a big car to preach, car to use, but he was using it for Krishna's service, because everything is Krishna's. Everything belongs to Krishna. It should be used in Krishna's service, right? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, why should you reject everything? Use it for Krishna's service. So in that way, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, our Prabhupada also followed the same example. So those days when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to go in a car to preach, that time people used to come to see the car. In that way, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to preach. So Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada used to say that every one of his disciples could attain Vaikuntha Loka in this life without waiting for another life to execute devotional service. So he was saying, try to go back in this life. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, never try to see God. Work in such a way that Krishna will see you. Okay. And God is the shelter of all. He sends many obstacles and inconvenience to those who wish to shelter under him in order to test their ardor and steadiness. Okay. So there will be a lot of obstacles. We'll see some of the lessons which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave. Thakur. Always hear and chant the glories of Krishna. Should somehow live without quarrel. So he says, always hear and chant the glories of Krishna. Never, never give up your service, and should somehow live without quarrel. This statement was taken even by Srila Prabhupada to his disciples, that somehow live without quarrel, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati knew that after he leaves, the Gaudiya Mad is going to be broken. And Prabhupada, our Prabhupada, felt very bad at that time that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati struggled all his life to build this Gaudiya Mad, and now no preaching, no printing of books, nothing is happening in the Gaudiya Mad. Prabhupada felt so bad at that time. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati predicted this is going to happen. That's why our Srila Prabhupada didn't want ISKCON to break after he leaves. So he kept BBT, the Bhaktivedanta book trust separately, so that even if ISKCON is not there, BBT can print books and it can flourish. So Prabhupada also gives this advice to us. These advices are to us, that always hear and chant the glories of Krishna, somehow live without quarrel. When we do devotional service, we are all not Paramahamsas, we are all not pure devotees, we are all neophytes. There'll be a lot of material things here. Okay, the anarthas are there in us. So you should not feel that, or your Bhakti Vrisha group or your class and your teachers, I mean, among the teachers, also among the admins and among the devotees, there'll be a lot of simple problems, silly problems. But then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, cooperate, because unless you cooperate and work towards the goal, it's not going to be successful. So he always says, somehow live without quarrel. Do not give up your service in spite of all the dangers and criticism or discomforts. When we do service, not everyone will like you. You should not feel, I become a devotee, I'm doing devotional service, oh, everyone appreciates me. No, there will be always oppositions among your colleagues and among seniors, juniors. Everything will be there, and there will be dangers in every step. There will be criticism all the time. Not everyone will accept everything what you do. There will be criticism. Siddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada, everyone faced criticism, but they never gave up their service. When you do some service and someone criticizes you, might be to improve your service or might be in a envious way, whatever it is, you should not give up that service. You should not feel, oh, I'm not doing it anymore. No, do your service in spite of all these discomforts and criticism. Never leave it. Everything is dependent on the will of Krishna. So just surrender to Krishna. Everything, when a devotee says it's by the will of Krishna, it happens by the mercy of Krishna. So just surrender to Krishna. He'll take care. Preach the teachings of Lord Chaitanya with all your energy and resources. This is what I was explaining. See the picture that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to use this car of his father and to preach. So the other sannyasis were criticizing him. What are you doing? You're living like a grihast. I mean, you're living like a materialistic person, traveling in a car and all that. Our Srila Prabhupada used to go travel in planes and jets, and why not to travel to all over the world? Why not for sightseeing? He's going to preach. So if you want to have to preach Lord Chaitanya's message, you can use your energy and resources. That is called Yukta Vairagya, using everything in Krishna's service. Right? Why should you reject it like a Mayavadi, thinking it's Maya? No, it's given to us by Krishna. Use it for Krishna's service. That's why our Srila Prabhupada used a dictaphone or typewriter, everything. For what? Krishna's service. So whatever we have, we should use for Krishna's service. And he says, work conjointly under the spiritual master. ISKCON or your satsang or the congregation cannot be broken from outside. It can be broken only from inside. Prabhupada says ISKCON can be broken only from inside, not from outside. Outside, nobody can touch ISKCON. But from inside, if there is some war, cold war, something going on between the disciples, Prabhupada used to get headache. Prabhupada is transcendental. Still, he used to get headache, not for his problem. He used to get headache when the disciples fight. So Prabhupada don't like it. So Prabhupada says, if you want to please me, cooperate. Cooperate. There will be faults in everyone, even in us, but try to forgive everyone. Just have patience and forbearance of a tree. So do not be disappointed. Preach to the four walls, because initially when the teachers, when they take class and they say only 10 children came, only 10 of them was there, or 5 of them, 4 of them, it's okay. Even if there's no one there, preach to the four walls. That's what, because that's how you won't be successful in the beginning. And everyone started like that. Even Srila Prabhupada, when he started preaching, there's no one who actually came to hear. He used to preach to the four walls and have patience and forbearance of a tree. So that's why if we start forgiving people, then it's easy to do your service. Don't bother what others are criticizing on you. You are trying to please Krishna, you are trying to please your guru. Do your service nicely. So life is a glorification of topics of Hari. If that is stopped, then what is the need there to carry on life? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, only a dead man cannot preach. That means if you have life, if you are breathing, you should preach about the Lord. Because how can we stop preaching? Krishna is so wonderful that if you are a sincere devotee, you feel like talking about the Lord. So we are put to test and trial in this world. Only those who attend the kirtan of the devotees can succeed. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati always says, stay in Krishna consciousness, never leave. Even if someone is very corrupted in the Gaudiya mud, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati never threw him out. Never. He always used to correct him, because he's like, after 84 lakh species of life, the soul have come to me. Let me deliver them. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was such a lion guru, but still he was soft to his disciples, and he wanted the mission to be spread like anything. Okay, so we are so happy that we got our Srila Prabhupada from him. It's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's mercy that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada could spread the message of Lord Chaitanya abroad, and ISKCON was established. So Prabhupada says ISKCON was not a new movement. It's not a new movement. It is from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Srila Prabhupada. So we should take his blessings. He is our Param Guru. So definitely he'll be more merciful. We can always pray to him to help us preach and stay in Krishna consciousness, do a lot of devotional service. He's Manjari, right? So once Bhaktisiddhanta, I'll end with this. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was looking at the moon. So when he saw the moon, he was just going on staring at the moon. And all his disciples are like, what are you looking at? I mean, what is there in the moon? And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati just looked at the moon and said, there's so much degradation happening in the moon planet. I mean, Bhagavatam says there's life in every planet. So in the moon planet, there's life. The scientists could not find it. That's different. But then the Shastra proves it. So he says the moon planet is getting degraded. There's emergency need of Krishna consciousness there. Let's all go there and preach. So he always tried to preach the cult. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati could have taken this message abroad. He's such a lion guru, Manjari, but he kept it for our Srila Prabhupada. He kept for Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, my spiritual master could have done it, but he kept the mercy for us, for me. Similarly, Prabhupada kept the mercy for us. Now we are the next generation to take up this cult and spread. If we think that we just have to chant our rounds and be a bhajananandi, in the sense start only chanting and taking care of our devotional service and not preaching, then we are not doing justice to our parampara. So we should be Goshtanandis. Goshtanandis are those who preach and try to uplift others. Okay, and bhajananandi, they do their own devotional service. So I think we can end here. So all glories to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Anyone have a question? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada had a son, Mataji.
Yeah, he had Vrindavan Chandra was his son, and there was 2-3 of them were there. Yes, he had a son. When Srila Prabhupada left to America, the son actually came, and during the 50th anniversary of ISKCON, he was invited actually. He looks almost the same like Prabhupada, but unfortunately he didn't join the movement.
Okay, so. Okay. Now what are all they now? Like they're in the field? No.
I have no idea. I just know he have a son, and actually he came. You can see in the YouTube. He came. He gave an interview, because when Prabhupada was leaving to America at the age of 70, his son Vrindavan Chandra was thinking, "I'm going to see my father for the last time," because no one at the age of 70 going to America. But then he was proud of his father. When Prabhupada came back, he was actually proud of his father. So I don't know details about him, but.
Okay. I thought he was brahmachari. Prabhupada was brahmachari. I thought.
No. His there is a nice pastime with Prabhupada and his wife, and I've shared it before. Radharani Mataji. Okay, Anuradha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. You said about umbilical cord being around a baby, and it is indicative of Brahminical cord. That character, that is for all children, or only for.
It's said that it is like that. See, Brahmanic is actually, if you take up to devotional service, anyone become a Vaishnava or a Brahmana, right? Anybody, not only if you're born in, it's not that you're born in that family, you become a Brahmana. So by Brahmana, we mean that someone who becomes a devotee, someone who take up devotional service later on in their life. So that's what it is indicated, it seems. But might be because they are lost in Maya, they don't actually follow the Brahmanic culture. But then it was a sign and it was an indication. Yes, Uma Mataji. Prabhupada had 2 sons and a daughter. Okay. And Prabhupada says at that time when he left everyone and went to America, Prabhupada said that I lost my children, but now I got children all over the world. So Prabhupada, all his disciples were his daughters and sons. Someone have a question? No? Okay. So that's about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So much is there, but I just took some of his pastimes and get inspired from him. Just we can't copy them, but take inspiration from him because he is the one who empowered Srila Prabhupada. So definitely, he's a Param Guru. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, so if possible, please fast till noon if those who can. 12 o'clock you can break. It's just that we are praying for their mercy and chant more. And then on the appearance day, the acharyas are very merciful. So we fast till a half day and then you can break. Or maybe you can take Ekadashi Prasad, fruits and all now. And then 12 o'clock you can break with some grains. Yes, you can have milk, fruits, Neeraj Mataji. Yes, you can have. Okay, like Ekadashi Prasad, like Ekadashi day, we can do. Yeah, need not be Nirjal. You can take fruits and milk. So you just have to skip breakfast. That's it. And then 12 o'clock you can wait. Okay, if you're not taking, it's okay. If you have already taken cereal, that's why yesterday I gave a reminder that, and there's a Vaishnava app calendar which gives you a reminder. If you're not taken, it's okay. We can't compel anyone. That's up to you. It's your individual choice. So it's okay. So some people, that's why we should know that just fasting on Ekadashi and on Janmashtami and Gaura Purnima, it's not enough. Krishna is pleased, but Krishna is more pleased when you fast for the acharyas, for Vaishnavas, because we should think more. Krishna likes when we glorify his devotees more. So that's okay if you're not doing. Initially, when we came, no one were doing. But as we come to know that, we try to get their mercy. Okay? Hare Krishna. I think we can end here. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhave evacha patidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Anand Kodi Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sarve pranam.